The bottom line is, I don't think David wants his reforms referred to as the Gonski reform. I think when I last spoke with him, he finds that a bit too confusing. I ran into someone recently in my electorate in Brisbane who said they're all for the Gonski reforms because their kids have been educated in a Steiner school, and that Gonski was kind of like Steiner, and there you go. And I said, well, not quite. So I think we have a slightly different challenge, which is to take the absolute good substance of a plan for national school improvement and to describe what it actually does for Australian teachers, for Australian students, for Australian kids, and for their schools physically as well. This National School Improvement Program is about better schools and better futures for our kids. It is a program which looks specifically at what we do to lift teacher standards by bringing about a new standard for teacher education before they qualify as teachers in the first place. That's important. It's also about improving the quality of what is taught in schools. For example, under this plan, science will be introduced as a testable item under the existing national testing program, which at present applies to only literacy and numeracy. And that will be introduced under this National School Improvement Program. In other areas, we go to the importance of greater autonomy for school principals, so that there is a much greater power to hire and fire and to use the resources available to the school with discretion by the principal as they see fit. On top of that, you also have greater transparency. Every school under this will be required to develop a school improvement plan, which is to take your school from here to here in terms of the quality of its education outcomes for the kids, and also for how the resources of the school will be developed over time as well, and for that to be transparent to the parent community as well as to the wider public. And finally, this is a reform which seeks to also provide reliable long-term funding on the basis of needs-based funding for the future, whether those schools are government schools or non-government schools, state schools or Catholic schools. So therefore, for these reasons, in consultation with my colleagues this morning, but also given that there are certain timelines which are bearing down on us from various of the states and territories, the decision that I am announcing today is that under my Prime Ministership and under this government, we will support the National Improvement Plan for Australian schools, better futures for our kids. Secondly, in relation to the consultation deadline, which currently expires with the jurisdictions on this, expires I think on the 30th of June, we will extend that by 2 weeks. I look forward to the opportunity of sitting down myself with premiers and chief ministers from states which have not signed on. I look forward to my discussion when I return to the People's Republic of Queensland to speak with the Premier thereof. I'm sure I'll get a warm reception because all we Queenslanders bond closely, particularly after a State of Origin win. On top of that, I look forward to seeing Premier Napthine. I look forward to further discussions also with the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory and also the Premier of Tasmania. Finally, the government's about bringing the country together, not dividing it. I know my political opponent is pretty good at that sort of thing. I think it's time we all came together. I look forward to spending some time with the business community pretty soon. I look forward to spending some time with the leaders of the trade union movement pretty soon. I look forward to actually having a civilised policy discussion, even if in private, with the Leader of the Opposition on some of the big challenges facing the country's future. And I look forward very much to an open public debate with Mr Abbott at the National Press Club in the next week or so on the question, to start off with, of debt and deficit. I've heard a million questions in there. Let's have it fully and out in the open at the National Press Club. You folks in the National Press Club, you set out the rules. I'm relaxed. Sometime next week, sometime the following week, but let's actually have a debate about the facts. Over to you for questions.